So during the JSC interviews for the Chief Justice candidate during this week, most people notice a pattern where Julius Malema would ask a question. As a commissioner, they're called commissioner, would ask a question to maybe Judge Madlanga or Judge Zondo, or Judge Mlambo or Judge Maya a question, right? And then after that, Ronald Lamola will also ask a question after. So people are starting to say, wow, it looks like out of all these commissioners who are asking questions, every time Julius Malema asks a question, Ronald Lamola will make a follow-up question to that. Okay, fine. Days goes by, and they then end up in a screaming match.
Yes. CJ Mukwe rise to them. They don't respond. They wait for him to go. Now they know that the CJ is gone. Their process, you are now acting. We're going to look for ACJ. Then they start responding to Mukwe's letter during your time.
Lie. It's a blue lie, what Commissioner Malema.
No, but don't say I'm lying. What do you mean I'm lying?
It's a lie.
No, don't say I'm lying. That is disrespectful.
No,
to say I'm lying, it's disrespectful. But if you are going to allow him to say I'm lying, it's wrong.
No insults, please.
Yeah, I can't say I'm lying.
Honorable Minister, I haven't recognized you.
No, he must protect me, Chair.
I'm raising
He
a point
cannot
of
just
order.
come in and say I'm lying.
I'm raising a point of order.
If he's going to degenerate this thing because he's a minister, it's not going to work here. Not
Mr.
with
Malema,
me.
Mr. Malema.
It's not going to work with me.
Mr. Malema, please make your point.
But protect me. He says I'm lying. Protect me. He's insulting me. Now,
Honorable
ACJ.
Minister,
It's out of order, Chairperson.
Commissioner Malema is still on the floor.
Yeah, but a point of order is procedural. It's allowed in a meeting. It's out of order.
And then one asks himself, why all this beef? What's going on? You go back a few days or few months ago, Julius Malema started calling Ronald Lamola Bruno Mtolo. Who's Bruno Mtolo? Bruno Mtolo was basically what the youth would say is a snitch, okay? He was an MK activist. He was also involved with the act of sabotage with the ANC, but then eventually turned to be the apartheid government witness against the Rivonia trialist. So, although Julius Malema spoke about him throughout, he had never responded, but I mean, everything is in the media, probably says it. So I don't know how one would feel being called a snitch, basically.
Bruno Mtolo. Lamola is Bruno Mtolo. What he does with his life, we're less interested, Sham. He has got no, whether he becomes a deputy president of the ANC and ultimately government, is Bruno Mtolo. He's a product of factional arrangement. Lamola became deputy president of the Youth League because I went to speak to DD, not because I identified talent in him, not through some arrangement. Now he wants to contest DD, his political mentor, the man who made him what he is today.
Okay? I want to read you a little bit of an excerpt when Bruno Mtolo was a witness against the ANC Rivonia trialist. Mtolo. Then we received a letter from the High Command in which we were told to recruit 8 persons between the ages of 16 and 30 to be sent abroad for military training. Candidates had to have at least a standard 8 certificate. Afterwards, this minimum qualification was reduced to standard 6. Mandela went on to tell us about his meeting with the chief commander of the Algerian army who supported communism. This man had taken him to see a training camp more or less on the border between Algeria and Tunisia. At the time, the Algerians were still fighting against the French, and in this camp, Algerian guerrillas were being trained. The army commander told Mandela that he was anxious to help the South African freedom fighters. Recruits from South Africa could be sent to this camp to be trained as guerrillas. They would even be supplied with arms. So, there was Mtolo doing the snitching. But when Julius Malema says Lamola is Bruno Mtolo, in most cases he would speak about issues like the Section 25, the basically taking of land without compensation. If you look at the other articles, they call it expropriation. If you listen to Ronald Lamola, you'll hear him being aggressive, deliberate, precise, talking about how land should be taken without compensation.
We have said the willing buyer, willing seller, it does not work. We have just recently resolved in the National Congress of the Youth League, you will remember in June, that we think it should be expropriation without compensation. From what we have assessed ourselves and from our belief is that there will be no meaningful property relations change in South Africa without touching Section 25 of the Constitution. The only thing that will change property relations in this country is to amend Section 25.
Okay, but things had changed. He's now the Minister of Justice, so it's no longer with the flow. And one of the other thing is, as this competition of the so-called youths, because you have Lamola, you have Malema, Pulemabe, and the Kokta, I think it's the MEC and Joburg. These are the guys who come from the ANC Youth League, whom people were saying, oh, these are going to be the leaders. So, now it's said that Ronald Lamola is eyeing for the position of being a deputy president. He's from Mpumalanga. And in ANC tradition, the person who become a president mostly, or who would compete for that position, would be the deputy president. So, and the deputy president now is a gentleman who comes from Mpumalanga as well, whom, according to Malema, was put on into the ANC Youth League merely in order for Mpumalanga to support the ANC Youth League and so forth, according to Julius Malema. So, the beef is continuing now. And in there, also, the other big issue that you would look at it is this issue of the Minister of Justice being able to recommend. There was a conflict where now it looks as if Ronald Lamola now had just replaced a certain judge, okay, whom Mogoeng initially recommended that this could be the person who would act in that acting chief justice and so forth, and they replaced that person with Matlanga. And with the interview, Julius Malema obviously was asking a barrage of questions to Zondo regarding his recusal, where he refused to recuse himself when Zuma requested him to do so, the visitation of Zondo at Zuma's hotels a couple of times. And now Zondo had said that, hey, listen, one of the other reasons I visited Zuma was because I was concerned about you, Julius Malema, talking about killing for Jacob Zuma. And then Julius Malema linked that with the issue of Minister Sisulu and says Sisulu was having a political debate and an op-ed. You came out, held a press conference and say you were insulted. And prior to that, now, you then went to Jacob Zuma and commented on an issue which was a political issue, which I said, as much as you're saying I was young and so forth, which insinuate something else, that I'm young and not be able to then express myself, and my political talk will result into chaos happening and so forth. And Zondo had to defend himself. And then it went to also Dustin Mlambo's issue where he spoke about the public protectors' remedial activities, whether they, like the recommendations, whether they do stand or whether they are powerful. And on the other side, he contradicted himself when it comes to the recent public protector, and also an issue of where they're saying that the president cannot choose a judge to be a chairperson when it was said by Advocate Madonsela, whereas the Commissions Act state clearly that it's the president who can then be able to select a judge. So, the barrage of ammunition going at Judge Mlambo's way as well as Zondo's way, and then the other judge, Madlanga, who was also, found it difficult to answer. Remember, we are into racial and sexist-based politics, so Justice Madlanga was asked as to, hey, we know you're qualified and everything, but this checklist of progression and transformation in terms of women, can you be able to essentially tick that checklist? No, you can't be able to do that because he is a man, and the other stuff that just happened in there. So as a result, at the end of the day, Lamola's office wrote a statement, last minute statement before the deliberation and the result of Justice Meyer being chosen by the JSC that essentially, look, this is what the Constitution state. It states that I, as the Justice Minister, can choose whomever, and Malema is casting aspersion on me as having not followed the proper processes and so forth. So at the end of the day, then Justice Meyer then was chosen, and with people obviously looking at this way as this beef between the future leaders of the nation in terms of politics then was won by Julius Malema and lost by Ronald Lamola.
Since it started, there have been always interpretations, aspersions to cast doubt on the leadership of the Youth League as a character and as an organization. You said about monopoly capital. When you have been watching the news on that day, you will have seen the value of the rand being strengthened because of this suspension, and that maybe it will reduce this debate around nationalization and expropriation without compensation. Those are not the views of President Malema. Those are outcome of Congress.
So yeah, that's just my take between the beef between the both. My name is Mamuji, and thanks for watching the Mamuji Show. I'm out.